Hello, everybody, and welcome back to very special episode 1 out of 5 of Cosmere Connections. We are not going to be recapping or rereading a book. Today, we are going to be covering Wind and Truth. This is going to cover the prologue to the end of day 2, and we have stopped reading there. We have read no further, and that is all we are going to be talking about. Next episode, we'll be covering from that beginning interlude until day 4. And we're going to be doing that for 5 weeks.
Excruciating weeks.
Literally.
Excruciating.
See, I don't think it's that excruciating, mostly because this is the pace that I would be reading it at anyway, so...
My sibling has been coming every day. Oh, I'm on day 4. I'm on day 5. And I'm just like, it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks. Right?
Avoid
I'm
all
actually
channels.
I'm actually ahead of Christian right now.
Whoa.
They're reading.
Wow.
So
They're waiting for the episode to come out so they know what it's,
So joining me on this trial of masochism, we have John.
The passions are horseshit.
Kay.
hello.
And of course, Swiggity Swoo.
Sometimes a hypocrite is just a man in the process of changing. Something like that.
Wrong book, but I love that.
I was going to say wrong book, but I still love it.
Oh, yeah, I horribly messed it up, too.
No, you did
that
fine.
No,
That
you
was
got
right.
it. Yeah,
That was
you got
right.
it. That was right.
Okay.
It's just it's like one of my top, favorite lines from the whole series.
It is a great line.
It's a
It's
great
an old standby.
And I'm ReaderWarrior. I'm going to try to keep this in some level of format. I highly doubt I will.
Good luck.
Chaos. We're gonna try our best.
Okay, we're gonna start off with the prologue, where we finally get a certain king's POV.
God, he's such an ass. Sorry.
He really is. Wow.
I'm glad somebody said it.
It starts off with him at the rock, and I for a moment there really thought he found the rock.
Oh,
With all the stones embedded into it. I did not realize, he's in a vision. Because, did we have confirmation the Stormfather was talking to him?
Yes.
Okay.
It had been mentioned by, I think Taravangian had mentioned that Gavilar had seen visions before he died. Had started seeing visions.
Well,
now we know, how Taravangian knew that, right?
Yep.
True fact there.
So we got Gavilar. He also can read, by the way, the heretic. The Stormfather appears as an actual person.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Which is kind of weird because we haven't seen that ever before with his bond with Dalinar. Which, it's like, why is that? Is it because he's not actually, is he actually, he's not bonded to Gavilar?
It's super weird, right?
At this point, because Dalinar bonds the Stormfather at the end of Words of Radiance, right?
Correct. No.
So, and he had visions well up to before that point. It wasn't until he gives that cool speech, and then we realize, we've got Truth Watcher, and all that. It's not until that point he bonds. So I don't think he's bonded. And even Stormfly was like, I'm going to try again with somebody different. I'm like, wait, he's bonded. He can't. Unless he knows he's about to die, in which, yes.
Well,
yeah, I think the Stormfather, he was way more cautious with Dalinar. He's like, I'm going to send him the visions first and see how he does.
I was thinking, maybe he came to, Gavilar in, that sort of, I am a person, I am reaching out to you. But when it came to Dalinar, he's like, I am a force. I am the Stormfather. I only appear as the cloud.
Yeah, he decided that he needed a different approach.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's day 1. that's up and coming.
Ooh.
So we see him manipulate Dalinar in that poor chair. And then we finally get the thing we had all been waiting for, a Sion in a trench coat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Kelsier is
multiple
just a
things.
Sion in a trench coat.
Yes. First of all, is he wearing a mist cloak? Because the way they describe the cloak...
I doubt it. He's probably wearing a suit, because otherwise they would have said he was wearing some kind of strange garments or something.
It said a tattered cloak.
Oh, maybe it was a mist cloak then.
Probably.
That's what... Also, how the fudge did the Scion take on the full body thing and then just compress down into a Scion and then compress into like a molecule and slip out the door?
Clearly,
this is I wanted.
This is not just any old Sion. This is Sion 2.0. Or maybe it's one of those other not Sion things. What are they called? I know
Skazy?
Skazy, that's it. I know we just went over this, but like, you know.
I feel like it is maybe like a Sion that's learned it can do things.
Yeah.
I think it's so we just reread Elantris and Raiden basically does a light weaving to become Alu. Do you think there's like something like that happening? Because we've never really seen a Sion adopt like full clothing in like a person-sized image before. It's always just the head.
It could be. I mean, we know it can change its face. Maybe it just evolves so that it can look like the full body. Or maybe somebody did put like a light weaving or some illusion magic over it.
I would say my guess is more likely that the Sions have just gotten better with their powers, because we do know that things in the Cosmere grow and change, and they can get better with their powers, like we see with Syl later on, in this section, where she is able to grow to the size of a full-size person.
And pick up a pen.
And so she's able to like do more things now. So I think the Sion is probably similar to that, with it just being able to do more things because it's getting better with its power.
I can already feel the pull to get off track.
Yes. Okay.
There's so much to talk about.
Kelsier leaves, and then we get introduced to Tom, I believe.
No.
And it wasn't Tom. It was Restares and who was...
Nail.
Sorry.
Nail.
I don't know why I had Tom. Who's Restares?
Kalek.
Which one was Kalek?
Kalek is the one that Shallan meets in Shadespar. Is the one that she was sent to kill. Or to stab with the knife.
Okay. But then why are they like Restares dies?
He doesn't die. Why do you think he dies?
On page 20, they say Restares died.
No.
Yeah, they do.
They say one of the heralds dies.
And they said one of the heralds died.
But it's not Restares.
A herald has died. No, I am not ready. The oath pact, no, they mustn't see. Gavilar says Restares. Gavilar whispered, is he actually a herald? So
Gavilar thinks that's who it is.
Okay,
that's a great question. We don't know, reader. We don't know what herald died. The theory...
but that implies the fact that Tom, is it Tom? Who's the awesome herald?
Yes.
Tom did not break.
Correct. Sanderson has stated in A Word of Brandon that Taln never broke.
Oh. Because that's where I got confused.
Yeah.
Because if a herald died and they break, the oath pact is released. The gates are open.
Right.
Yeah. So this is where the theory of Shallan's mother comes into play.
Yes.
So because the timelines kind of line up with when Shallan killed her mom and when Gavilar was killed, or
on the
timeline wise within the same year based on people's accounting. So we don't necessarily know if it's exactly at the same time because, again, we don't know the exact day of when Shallan's mother was murdered and when Shallan killed her mother. But the theory is that Shallan's mother was a herald, was the herald Chanarach, and they think it's Chanarach based on drawings and depictions of her because she has red hair as well as Shallan does. And with Shallan's kind of um, increased abilities with her drawings and her ability to hold memories into her mind, um, like that, in her the way that her memory works. People feel like that there is a divine aspect to that, and so that the herald that they're talking about, the herald that died in this, is that they're mentioning is Chanarach, who is Shallan's mother, who people think is Shallan's mother.
Yep.
There is that, and there's also there's like a weird change. I'm getting this from another podcast called Lost in Roshar, where they made this discovery like live on the episode. It was awesome. But basically, if you get two different versions of the book, I don't remember exactly which one it is, but it's the one where Shallan talks about killing her mom. There has been a change made to the color of the dress that her mom was wearing, and it used to say blue and gold, which is the colors that Sanarak is wearing in like the official Herald art. And now it says white. So people are thinking like, oh, is that like too obvious? Did Sanderson change it?
There was a small line about Gavilar strolled into the bookcase where one of his new heating fabrics had been delivered by a scholar, Rushar Chris. Is that Chris?
I was wondering that too.
Reading way too into this.
Is it
also Gavilar knows Vasher?
Yes. Yeah. And Vasher was the one who made the anti-void light.
Yeah. Oh boy.
That's one of those that's so left field, like, just I have nothing to even say about it. I have no idea how that ended up being, except that I guess in Warbreaker you learn that he was kind of a scientist of sorts, right?
Yeah, he was one of the scholars.
Mm-hmm.
It does track, at least with his character, but it's just funny he didn't call him Zyle. Like, he literally refers to him as Vasher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we get the whole, prologue of Way of Kings. And we learn that he was never speaking to Seth's son Villano, Truthless of Shinovar. He was, in fact, talking to Stormfather. Okay.
Is that something you had brought up before? Like, I think maybe, like, not in an episode, but off camera?
I don't think so. I never would have guessed that.
Okay, just curious.
Or if I did, I was very sleep deprived and it was something I just randomly said. Okay. Anything else on the prologue?
I love the irony when he's like, oh, I manipulated that Arshendi woman to prepare her for the role her people will have in my upcoming domination. And it's like, no, dude, you literally just sealed your fate and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll move on to day one, which gives me a moment as I unhide all of my notes.
Also, so day one, really cool. Syl can become human-sized. I was mentioning it earlier.
Well, she's done it before.
Human-sized, but she's more. She has, but she hasn't done it for as long of periods of time. She is more consistently now appearing human-sized. She is also more conscientiously like coloring her clothing.
Still in shades of blue.
No,
violet.
She tends to use cooler colors, but she she was able to do it in Rhythm of War too. She turned herself, covered herself in red clothing to imitate a Voidspren.
I mean, do you guys think, like, Do you guys think this is just really good symbolism for her maturing, or do you think like at some point we're gonna get Bren being able to manifest like in the physical realm?
Or like a Spren that looks completely human.
I don't think
so. We have examples of Spren manifesting in the physical realm in
We don't talk about that. We don't talk
Rhythm
about
of
that
War.
dungeon. We don't talk about the dungeon.
and where they were all dead.
Dissected.
I thought you were gonna say shard blades.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, which shard blades are the manifestation of Spren in the physical realm.
There's also that.
Okay, now I got my notes. So, besides the Syl stuff, we also see Syl and Oradin just having an absolute ball
which
with
is
each
so
other.
adorable. Such a cute moment.
Mm-hmm.
So adorable. Kaladin's got his uniform lashed to a wall, which is, I think, up on the list of most wasteful uses of investiture.
Yeah, but like he probably did
think...
it with Tower Light because it's like perpetual there.
Yeah.
So it's not really a waste.
I think stated he was doing it as an experiment to see how long it would last. Because he wasn't...
I just find it funny.
because the Tower Light is very new, so they're still trying to... So he's still trying to figure out like what's going on with it. I think he said that he was doing it to see how long it would last.
I think that was how it started, and then it kind of just became a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then we hear a little murmur from the wind.
Yeah, it says Kaladin had stuck the uniform to the wall with a lashing last night after Tuff's funeral as a test.
Okay.
Yep.
Fully makes sense.
I just wanted to state that I was in fact correct.
Nobody was questioning that.
For the record.
Okay.
How great must it be, like, just to go... Sorry. But how great must it be to go from, like, this Stormin Bridgeman who literally has to save every scrap of money to be able to practice your powers, you know, to unlimited investiture from the tower.
Unlimited
ultimate cosmic power.
Completely wastefully it. Unlimited cosmic eeny-weeny living space. Okay. Then we go over to Shallan, who is talking with Hoyd on a cell phone. I'm not letting that die. Which is really weird considering what we learned in the interlude. We'll get to that. I have a theory. So this is theory one. That Shallan... So Vale got reincorporated into Shallan. I think Shallan might be incorporated into Radiant, and Radiant might become the solo personality.
The real Shallan?
Sure.
Why do you think that?
I gotta go to the page to find out why I wrote that note on that specific page. But I think it has to do with the fact that
she does spend a lot of time as Radiant in this book, I've noticed.
Yeah, and I feel like Shallan herself isn't a Radiant. Shallan is Shallan, and Radiant could become an encompassment of that. I also think Brandon is fully capable of doing that kind of a twist.
What if, like, I don't know, this is prediction mode, right? But
Yes.
what if she loses Adolin and Radiant is all she can be?
Exactly, right? And like Shallan just loses herself to the grief and Radiant is just anger driven. Oh, that would be so cool.
Dark.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is this the chapter with the music spread?
Oh god.
No, that's
this is the section. This is the day with the music spread, though.
Yes,
so we can definitely talk about that.
Do we want to talk about it now, or just wait until my notes gradually get to that point?
We could talk about it now, mostly because I really liked the music spread.
I love the music spread. I think something terrible is going to happen to them.
Oh my god.
Did you guys catch that the one was the spren of Sureblood?
Yeah.
Adolin's Rashadium?
Yes.
Yeah, that made me
His
so sad.
original Rashadium?
This book,
no,
man, it is like made of freaking tears.
Yeah, that was the spren that came up to him and like nuzzled his hand.
And they were all completely oblivious to it.
Yeah, Adolin was like, it seems really familiar, but I don't know why.
That's really sweet. The way they're so cute and just going, Shallan, 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 is way too freaking adorable. I fully expect them to take a thing of anti-void light.
Yeah. Oh, no, so you're talking about
anti-light.
Those are the creation spren.
You're talking
beads.
about the creation spren. We're talking about the horses.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm totally getting confused. Sorry.
We're talking about the horses. The horses
the
are
horses,
the music spren.
The horses I didn't care much for, honestly. I thought it was cool, but I had no connection to. I'm sorry.
Well,
okay.
So you didn't catch it then? You didn't get it?
No, I did not. So thank you.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Go back and reread that section.
Yeah.
And have Kleenex handy because you're gonna need it.
Yeah, the music spren are the ones that bond to Rashadium.
I did catch that.
Yes, and so the one that like comes up to Adolin at the end and like nuzzles him is the spren that was bonded to his original Rashadium that died at the Battle of Narak.
Okay. Oh, that's so sweet.
That remembered him and came over and saw him and said hi, and that's why they were also like hanging out with
Gallant.
Also love, like, there's something being kind of set up here where, like, music and wind are, like, very interconnected, and Gallant, it, like, keeps being mentioned, he seems like he's really comfortable flying around in the sky, and I just think we're going to get to see, like, Rashadium flying somehow, and people riding on the back of them, and that sounds awesome.
Oh, that would be so cool.
It's coming.
I could totally see that, especially since they're bonded to music spread, and they could be singing like the tune of Roshar, which we now know is incorporated with the wind.
We'll Still not really sure how that all works.
We will get there.
It's coming.
Yeah. So, quick, where does Wit have a say on?
What you mean? Where does he keep it? Like,
yeah, where is he having one? Where is he keeping it? Because like, he's calling Shallan, right?
Yeah.
Unless he's figured out a way to hack the Sion signal, he's got to have one.
Yeah.
Well, is that today? No, that's tomorrow. Gotta wait for day 2.
I think it's telling that, like, I didn't even question that. I was like, yeah, of course he's got a Sion. He's got everything else.
Well,
Yeah.
And it isn't the next day. We do see like him like pull out a whole bunch of magic crap from across the Cosmere. That was awesome. We'll get to that. But like we don't see him ever pull out like anything from Cell. Like he doesn't like go do like his Seon like, hey, can you confirm what all I did today or something? Would have been really weird for Yasna.
Their relationship is really weird.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And he drops the line, the more confusing, the better the literature. Hoyd has Kaladin waste an hour of very important crunch time to learn the flute. Which is probably going to be important, but still.
It's already been important.
Yeah. I would also say,
we learned...
to be fair with that, he did have time to kill. Because they couldn't leave until the storm came. So, like...
Yeah, I find it funny that he implies that Dalinar's in an important meeting, with Dalinar's just like waiting at the door, just like, are they done talking?
Well, Kaladin, to be fair, never asked if Dalinar was in a meeting. He just assumed that because Dalinar's door was closed, that he was in a meeting.
True.
If Kaladin had just gone over and knocked on the door.
Yeah. We learned that the Wander Sail has the tone of Roshar in it, which was really cool. And then we learned that Ada and Elysium created, I'm going to call them, I don't think super spread is the right word, primordial spread. I'm going to call them that, with the wind and stone, and they mentioned another one.
Night.
Yes. Which, that's awesome. There's going to be so much going back to book 1 and just looking for those.
Yeah. I'm waiting for something to do with sunlight as well, because you have like Sunmaker and like Sunraiser.
Well,
I was expecting that one to come up, and when it didn't, I was like kind of confused. I'm not confused, but I was thinking maybe.
Well, they seem to be tied to the God spread, Stormfather, Night Watcher, and the sibling, who all have ties to wind, night, and stone. But I'm also wondering if maybe there's one for like each of the radiant kind of. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm wondering if there's more than just the 3, although it makes perfect sense that there's just the 3.
Yeah, can't wait to see more on this. I have like no theories about it right now.
Only things that sound awesome.
Right?
And then we have the awesome line where Hoyt's talking about the passions.
The passions are horse shit.
There we
go. Which, by the way, is it just me or is shit Brandon's favorite new word? Like, all of a sudden he's, like, willing to use the word and it's in the first 2 days, like, 47 times.
Well, I feel like Hoy doing it in this is very much just Hoy being dramatic.
Yeah.
Lift later, we know she got the word from Vasher.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so, yeah, which is kind of funny, because, like, shit is apparently, like, not a word that's used on Roshar.
Well, it is, just not as an expletive.
Yeah.
They more so use creme or just storms.
Is this the chapter where Wit says to Kaladin, "Thanks for the inspiration"?
Yes.
Yes.
And then he's also like, I knew a guy who lost all of his faith and then led others, or something like that line. He's like, oh, I would like to meet this one. You would love Sazed. And I'm like, yes, that's our boy.
Well, it took me a second to realize what he meant by that. Like, oh, thanks for the inspiration. And then I realized Kaladin is just another story.
Yes.
Like, he's going to go to some other world and tell the story of Kaladin Stormblessed, and it's going to pull somebody out of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
We got... Okay, I don't know where you guys went after I got kicked out.
Oh, that's it. We were just talking about the chapter heads. That's it.
Okay. Well, speaking of Shallan, we see her drawing by Ado Mishram's face.
Yeah, and then later on she beads.
I really wish we had an Honor Sprint Navy scene show up. That would be so cool.
An Honor Sprint what?
An Honor Sprint Navy.
Yeah.
The one Sprint mentions, we used to have a Navy, and I'm like, why don't we anymore? Why don't we bring that back? We have a whole ocean. We have an army coming in on the beads that we learned about.
That wasn't just any Honor Sprint. That was Notum.
I think it's because of the fused that they stopped sending their ships out.
I'm just saying, Honor Sprint Navy, I can totally see that coming back.
Be pretty cool.
And it's a young book. We still have time.
Mm-hmm. We also get a new name for Hoyd, Medius.
It is not new.
That is not new? We've had that? Okay, I just don't remember it. Thank you, Kay, for correcting me.
Midius.
Okay. I don't remember that one.
I can't remember where it was mentioned. Maybe it was that in Dragonsteel Prime is where it's mentioned.
Could be.
Maybe not an
That sounds like
actual. Maybe not. This might be the first time that it's in a published like Cosmere work.
Canon book.
Canon Cosmere work.
I'm taking that point.
But this is
So
a
petty.
name that I did in fact already know for Hoyd. That's mostly what I'm saying. Is that
it sounds like it was in Dragonsteel Prime. I'm not going to pull up anything because my Wi-Fi is being temperamental right now, so I can't confirm.
I also don't want to get
right.
spoilers by trying to pull up the Coppermind right now.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is a dangerous place to be today.
For the next 5 weeks. And then, of course, Adolin wants to take his horse.
Yeah, of course he wants to take his horse. He would never, Adolin would never dare leave Gallant
Guys,
by himself.
I have an Adolin theory that spawns from one line in this chapter, actually 2.
Okay.
And here we go. Okay, this is what it is. It's Notum, right? And he's talking about, I lay on the ground, battered and assaulted, and watched your husband rise in my defense against overwhelming odds. He saved me with no expectation of reward. In that moment, I knew that honor lived.
In the hearts of men.
And then Galan slowly returned to her sketch, where she soon found that she'd drawn yet another face, in Adolin's shadow. Stormed.
Ooh.
I'm calling it. I think Adolin might end up as Honor. Somehow.
I think so too. I think Adolin's going to be Honor, and I think Shallan might be Odium.
Whoa.
I don't
Shallan,
think Shallan being
has
Odium.
struggled with personalities and emotions her whole life, could easily ascend to Odium.
I mean, could, but we just got a new Odium. I find it unlikely that we're going to have a change again this quickly.
We went through like 3 preservations in one book.
I would also say that I find it unlikely for Brandon to put one of his main characters that he has been actively trying to redeem in the position of bad guy. So,
well, that's the thing. I don't think Shallan would use Odium as bad guy.
But Odium is literally hatred.
I think Shallan can just push him towards emotion. Push the intent to emotion.
Yeah, but we see
I've
what
had this theory for years.
And I objectively dislike your theory.
We are going to start a pot in the chat, and
no,
whoever has the most theories correct gets bragging rights.
No, we're not doing that.
We are not going to do that.
Yeah, because by that rule, any theories you get wrong, and I'm going to throw out like 50 theories, also count against.
Honestly, the only one that matters is if you get 3 right, it's a homicidal hat trick.
Okay. In the next chapter, in the little epigraph, you get word of the cleansing of Shinovar. And we know that this is written...
This scene where Kaladin is talking to Dalinar with Zeth there as well is so comedically funny. Zeth is just hilarious. Well, there was a line. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't, I won't,
I want whoever does epic rap battles to do an Odium and Dalinar one. Imagine that's the challenge.
I love that later Zeth is like, I'm not deaf. I heard what you were saying to Dalinar. You're not just going to be my therapist, bridge boy.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Zeth, will you be fine here by yourself for a while? Zeth, I am never alone. Even
The
without
voices.
spren or sword, I'd have the voices. He looked straight at Kaladin with all the emotion of a corpse. Just
And
looked
then
at him dead in the eyes. Just says it with a straight face, like nothing, like fully 100% meaning what he is saying. Just
then we go from that hilarious scene to Dalinar having a heart-to-heart with Kaladin, pulling out a little scroll. He's like,
Dad Lenar.
yeah, Dalinar.
Dad Lenar.
And he's like, I want to make you King Stormblessed.
Please be my son here in my adoption papers.
Daddy loves you.
Which is the best scene, I think, in this day. I think this is the best scene of the day. Because to have... First of all, you've got Kaladin the entire time being very uncomfortable with the fact that Dalinar is reading.
Yeah, he's trying not to be uncomfortable with it, but he is.
Mm.
He's very uncomfortable with it.
And you also had him hugging his own dad in the first 2 chapters, which was very sweet. But then you've got, this is the person who is like, this is the person I want the Light Eyes to be, who I thought they could be as a child, who has proven they can be good. And he wants me to be his son. Aww.
Yep. We've been joking for years about Dalinar adopting Kaladin, and now he's actually gonna do it.
Well, I mean, he calls him
Just
son all the
hilarious.
time anyway.
I know.
Yeah,
but
there
it's
was
just-
so much. Every single line was like, soldier, soldier, soldier. And I was like, surely he does not say it this many times, right?
Yeah. But yeah.
I had a hard. This will be really touching on my second read through, but this whole time I was so distracted, just kind of theory craft. Like, is he really going to be king? Would he even want to be king? It sounds like he doesn't, but he might be the best man for the job. I don't know.
A king of therapy. Imagine that.
I'm gonna say, like, I do not think that Kaladin would make a good king of Urithiru. Because Kaladin gets so focused on the little things and on every individual person that he struggles to focus on big pictures, which as a leader you need to be able to look at the big picture.
Yes.
I agree.
Things. So I don't think Kaladin would make a good king of Urithiru, and I don't think that he's going to accept it, as much as I think it's hilarious that Dalinar is trying to adopt him.
Oh, and he totally knows it too. Like,
yeah.
And like, without talking about the stuff at the end of day 2, Navani has to pretty much stay at Urithiru in order for like most of her radiant stuff to work.
Yeah.
And for Urithiru to work. So like, I don't think there's any danger of Navani dying. I don't think. So I think, assuming like she continues to be queen and then dies a peaceful death, please, Stormfather. Maybe, and we're getting into another theory, the nephew, Gavinor, could become the king instead. But I think Kaladin would just become like a good voice to have at the table.
So Gavinor is going to become king of Alethkar. He's in the succession line for Alethkar, not for Urithiru.
So who would be the new king of Urithiru should something happen?
So, he mentioned a stone ward that had sworn the 4th ideal.
Yeah, can we stop at that? Somebody else swore the 4th ideal that we're just gonna brush by.
Demi. His name is Demi, and I wrote his name down, and I said Demi is the new Dash. You gotta listen to our Elantris episodes if you want to get that joke.
I swear, when we get to Stormlight and they're just gonna randomly mention Demi, I'm just gonna be like, oh, that's him. That's the one. Okay, I think that works. I agree. I don't think Kaladin would make a good king. I think he would make a good advisor, but not a good king.
Yeah, but yeah, so the succession line set is Demi, and then it goes to the High Princes, which the first one is, I think,
he only cares about
Hatham?
money.
I think the first one is Hatham, and then the second one is Sabari.
Oh,
I got something to float your guys' way. Yasta thinks there shouldn't even be kings anymore.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, at least not with any actual political authority.
I'm wondering if by the end of all this, kingship is obsolete in some way.
I think she has the power to change that in Alethkar. I don't think she has the power to change that in any of the other kingdoms.
Yeah, but Dalinar, she is influencing Dalinar's opinions.
Yes.
As well. So, but I think at this point where we are, with everything that is going on, it is not something that would be feasible. It could be something that is feasible in time of peace, but not during this time of war that is going on right now.
Jump back over to Shallan. Ishna is goth. That's the first line I have for this one.
Yeah.
We learn that shard blades just vanish over time.
Is that where all the missing shard blades went?
Yes.
Yep.
Possibly, yeah.
Mystery solved.
Yeah.
Then we also get a compass that works in Shinovar.
In Shadesmar.
Sorry, why did I write Shinovar? I must have been so tired.
I was gonna say it must have been a storm that you were just like deliriously hammering away at your.
Shadesmar, not Shinovar. I knew it started with an S. I should have just wrote Cognitive Realm. We later learned how that works through something that's very. There was a theory that the horses were all chondros. I feel like that theory does not work anymore.
Yeah, that's
no way.
Definitely not true. Also, like, that wouldn't make any sense in general.
There was a theory, well, there was the fact we knew they became their own species, and there was a theory we have seen a chondra on Roshar. Yeah, but there was a long-standing theory that the horses were all sort of doing what Tensoon did in Hero of Ages, and it's what made super horses.
I don't like that. That like shrinks the universe.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Yeah.
Then we've got a quick scene with Nightblood. The Honor Spren arrive and start bonding with people.
No, only Lucentia has arrived so far. Lucentia left early before the rest of the Honor Spren who are going, because Shallan makes a comment that she didn't see Lucentia with the rest of the Honor Spren, and she was disappointed that Lucentia wasn't there because she was hoping that Lucentia would go.
That's nice.
Was that the Nightblood pancake scene?
No, that's later on.
That's later.
It's all running together.
Spend winning. Wow.
I guess.
Okay.
Can I just say, I think that maybe the reason Nightblood's so into pancakes now is because he was like briefly feeding off of Lift in Oathbringer.
I think it's just they've spent too much time together. I don't think it has to do with magic.
Yeah,
I think it's purely just. Ugh.
I think Lift has spent time with Szeth and Nightblood, because her oaths are to listen to those who have been ignored.
Oh no!
And so she
swords get ignored.
And swords get ignored on a daily basis. Like, she's gonna go and find the people that no one is talking to and hanging out with. Like, she probably went and visited Szeth when he was in his prison.
Yeah.
And like hung out with him and chatted with him and Nightblood while they were in the prison.
Okay.
We've got a brief little action scene where Shallan and Adolin and the other Radiants sort of get attacked by a bunch of what are they called?
Heavenly ones.
Heavenly ones. Thank you. In which he pulls out a mace at one point, and I found that utterly hilarious.
Honestly, the comedic value, the comedy in this first part of this book so far has been spot on, because the fact that Adolin was just pulling random weapons out of his like saddlebags and like chucking them at the fused is just so funny.
It's like an old cartoon.
Yes, very much. It's like the meme where you have someone and they just keep pulling random weapons off of their body. Like
exactly.
Same
Shallan and
energy.
Adolin fall into the ocean, and then we've got a very terrifying scene with a BD who imagine being in the bead ocean and then red eyes just start coming at you in the middle of all the darkness. That's terrifying.
So I do want to say, I think we should probably speed this up a little bit, because I think we're going really slow to get through all of day 1 and day 2.
We're almost done with day 1. We're almost done with day 1.
I just want to say that I feel like we need to.
I'll just start listing off. I'll just start listing off, and everybody just chime in when you want. So Radiant shows up and stabs him with just a sharp sword that looks like a
the fact that she was able to put weight to her illusions again. Shallan swears the 4th oath, the 4th
substantiation.
She's able to substantiate now. She swears the 4th. She says her 4th truth and swears the 4th ideal and gains her armor.
Shallan.
The substantiation thing, I'm like noticing, am I half remembering this, where somebody said, oh, that's your hybrid power. Like, it seems like when you have the two powers, you have one, like, that's special to you called, like, a hybrid power. Like, for Shallan, it would be the substantiation, where she has illusions that she can soul cast into being, like, reality. And then, like, the wind sculpting is like the cohesion mixed with gravitation.
Yes.
In which the guy says it is a forbidden Lightweaver art.
Which I think is interesting, considering it is, like, if it is that power that they're supposed to have, like, why was it forbidden?
I mean, well, we see Shallan struggling to like come to terms with who she is, and she got lost between 3 aspects. Imagine if you had like thousands of Lightweavers all just randomly creating new people.
But Shallan is a special case. Like, none of the other Lightweavers have multiple personalities.
We can't say first, and they were also dealing with wars over and over and over again. I imagine there was quite a bit of issues in those days.
There's one other little thing too. When she is back out of Shadesmar and she's kind of looking back on it, she's not sure which truth was her ideal. She's like, oh, one of those truths must have done the trick, eh?
Oh, that is strange.
Yeah, I think it's possible that she has said both the 4th and 5th ideal.
Ooh. That would be cool.
So, Shallan also, Sanderson has said, is a case because she did swear truths with her first spread. So she's kind of like having to like...
There's some confusion on whether or not she's restarting, building off of, combining.
Did she swear one truth for Testament and one for Pattern in Shadesmar?
It might, maybe. We don't know necessarily.
Also, that was like the best Shallan one-liner of all time when she was like, reality is what I say it is, business. That was awesome.
Yes. And then she immediately is like, that scared me in the next chapter.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want reality to be what I say it is.
Yeah.
We have a brief scene with Kaladin and Still. Sorry.
Yeah, I would say I think skipped over a little bit of
There's a brief scene with
the
Kaladin
book
and Syl going to the
quartermaster.
library. Yeah.
No, they didn't go to the library. They went to
The book.
what did he call it? The scribe's supply depot.
Yeah.
To go to the book quartermaster to
But
get
that's just
some
because
books. That
that's because he doesn't know the word.
he doesn't know it. He's like,
Yeah. You know what's funny
I was
is
so confused when he starts off with like, I don't know what to call, and at the end he's like, oh, it's a library. And I'm like, oh, so this is just Roshar being Roshar.
no, this is just Kaladin being Kaladin.
you know it
It's
was
not
totally
even
hilarious too.
Roshar.
As I was listening to this, I'm like, what do you call the place where you go to buy? It's like an office supply store? Is this what he's describing?
Yeah, it's like
Staples? Is he going to Staples?
yeah.
I mean, there's certain, like, there's definitely products that women use that I don't know the difference between. Like, not to get into examples, but I've certainly made similar silly mistakes, and reading at this point is like a feminine thing. It's like totally natural.
Yeah. I feel like Bran was just having a bad day and he just wanted Kaladin to rip a bully apart.
I think he wanted to give Kaladin a little win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And it was a good. And then he's like, hey, if you want to talk about it, talk. We need to talk. But otherwise, shut up.
Yeah, and
Angry therapy.
It's also, yeah, I would say it's Kaladin trying to help people. Like, he's not great at like being kind and nice all the time. Sometimes he just needs to be a little blunt. He's not great at subtlety.
It was a good scene. Then we go back to Shallan, in which they're still fighting. Imagine how horrifying of a twist it would be if Adolin just previously died at this point or thing, and Shallan just created a light weaving of him, and we've been following the light weaving.
That's dark. Oh my god.
I feel like this is the threat of substantiation. It's just a person can exist that did not exist or has since died.
I fundamentally don't think that that's happening, but I love the possibility.
So. But it is.
I feel like
sorry.
You are very much trying very, very hard to turn the Val Kilmer Batmans into the Christian Bale Batmans.
An idea enters my head. I wrote it down.
So I think, reader, who hurt you?
Brandon, multiple times.
Oh, it's terrible.
Then learn about the Grand Knell, which is what the compass is pointing at. A current that leads to the death of a god. And it has an electromagnetic field in Shadesmar.
Well, it might not be electromagnetic per se, but it's something that they can attune to in a similar fashion.
It's got an investiture field that they can their investiture to attune to.
Which seems
so is that
far more
where
likely.
We're supposed to believe Honor died?
No.
No, that's where Odium dumped the corpse.
No, I think it's where Adenalcium died.
I think it's
yeah, it could be.
You don't think Adenalcium died on Yolen?
In Shadesmar.
No,
it could be anywhere.
It could be
it's
anywhere.
In Shadesmar. You're right.
Anywhere. It could be anywhere. So I think it's pointing towards where Adenalcium was killed.
I thought maybe it was
so cool.
Cell, because it's like one letter off, and also like there would be a ton of investiture in the cognitive realm there. I don't know.
That's so cool. We have the horse friend scene in the music.
We already talked about.
We talked about. This is now 7% done with the book. So, brief little thing about the epigraphs for all the Knights of Wind and Truth ones. What if Moash is the author?
Dude, you have consistently shocked me with the things that you are dropping tonight. This is insane.
What's on page 101 that drew me to that theory? 1 second.
I would like to go around the horn and I'll give our prediction for who we think is writing these.
Okay, I don't know why I put that. I think that was just because they started mentioning Moash in this chapter. But imagine, okay, so this is the chapter where Kaladin goes to the bar. They're all celebrating R'lain having his spread. And he's saying goodbye. And imagine this poor actor who for 4+ years has had to wear this annoying makeup on his forehead and get it reapplied like hourly probably for all these scenes to finally have like one movie where he doesn't need to wear it at all and then immediately have to put on a new one.
You're talking about if they made Stormlight into a movie?
Yeah, because this is when Kaladin gets the Bridge 4 tattoo, which is such a sweet moment that he not only is letting go of his past, but he's, because it sticks, and due to the fact like we see him with inherent Stormlight and like we don't hear that it dribbles down, he is accepting his place is with these people.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good scene.
He has finally let go of the past and embraced what is going on right now and who he is now.
We've got Sigzil. Okay, this is getting into one of my theories. Sigzil crying about Kaladin leaving, and also Sigzil is named Windrunner Commander. Remember my Sunlit Man theory?
Oh yeah, no, something is definitely gonna happen. I think that so this is something that I thought about when we were at Nexus, and talking about different things, and is that something is going to happen in this book, and Sigzil and a bunch of Windrunners are going to die, and are probably going to be killed by anti-Stormlight along with their friends. That's my guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I called it. Yeah. I predicted it. And sadness. I think that
I just said sadness.
I don't want it to happen.
Yep.
But I feel like it will.
It's probably going to happen on the Shattered Plains because that is where Sigzil is stationed with the Windrunners.
Mm-hmm. They're going to lose a lot of people, and he's going to lose his spread, and I feel like he's going to be asked to go remake the Skybreakers at the end. And that's when he gets auxiliary.
You think, like, oh my god, just let me know if I'm being an idiot with this, but like, in Sunlit Man, Sigzil has a Dawn Shard, right?
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh no, he had one. He does not currently have one.
He had one. He does not currently hold one.
Okay. I was like wondering if there was maybe a Dawn Shard like at the Shattered Plains, which would be crazy because you wouldn't think there'd be two on Roshar.
Well, Brandon said there are. We know one caused the Shattered Plains, and I don't think that one has changed because that one's been stuck in the wall for who knows how long. So I think there are two on Roshar.
But the other one that I think we would have on Roshar right now would be one that would be the one that Hoyd has held / maybe is currently holding.
Well, the question is, did Wid have changed, or did he have a different one?
No, he had a different one because the one that he had prevents him from being able to attack other people.
Right.
But that's what we saw happen to Sigzil.
Correct. It's the same one that Sigzil had.
So does the torment stick with you even after you give it up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's why I'm saying it might be the same. It's because they have the same
I
format.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
But not change.
But Sigzil and Hoyd had the same one. That's not the same one
Okay.
that Risen has. Risen
Right.
has a different one. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I jumped to Risen's. Sorry.
Yeah.
I see what you're
Sorry.
saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Sigzil and Hoyd have held a different Dawn Shard than the one that Risen is holding, which we know is change.
Gotcha. We also have the scene where Nightblood is like, I want pancakes. And this is also where I had my theory of what if each of the aspects of Radiance have a primordial spread, wind, justice, truth, etc. But I do think it's more likely we just have night, stone, and wind.
Yeah, I think it's just those ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because
also, weird thing.
I
Sorry.
think they state that I think the tower states that the bondsmiths originally bonded those Spren, not the Stormfather and the Night Watcher and the tower.
That sounds vaguely familiar. I'll agree with that. But now there's Ba Edo Mishram / Shianat being weird.
Mm-hmm.
And the Oath Gates are Inkspren. I don't think I ever fully grasped that. That's weird.
Same. I remember hearing that today and having the same thought. Also,
why are they transportation?
When they said we changed, I couldn't help but thinking of like, oh, I wonder, is that a connection to the Dawn Shard? Like, now that somebody's picked it up.
Well, okay. Inkspren are the ones who bond Else Colors, which has the one of transportation. So it makes sense. I'm just confused on why Inkspren have the teleportation surge.
I don't know.
We now, and then we get confirmation that Shallan spoke her fourth ideal, and she now has armor made out of creation spread, which are very adorable, which I think are going to suffer. I don't. So we have a whole bunch of Kaladin, now mentally panicking because Hoyt's like, we're not going to see you again. You need to say your goodbyes. I don't think Kaladin's dead. I don't think it works to have a suicidal character now wanting to live and then to kill him in that book.
Yeah, I agree.
Why not?
Because I feel like that message is wrong, is to have a character that tried to take his own life multiple times throughout the series to finally trying to do better. He's having a good day, in which there will be bad days, there will be good days. But to then have that character, who's also got to create therapy and do a whole bunch of other stuff, for him to die ruins the parts that show him trying to do better, that want to go for another day. I feel like from writing a character standpoint, to have a suicidal character killed would be wrong.
You are free to feel that way. I don't see that.
That's how I feel too. I don't think he's gonna die. There's no way. It's the first life before death, man.
And he lived, but Fleet still died.
True.
You know what I'm saying? It could happen. It's still,
But Fleet wasn't a point of view character.
But that doesn't mean that.
Okay.
It's not certain, but it's still. I still feel like it's a possibility.
Kaladin makes an oath that they're all going to meet again, drink and laugh. I think Kaladin's going to break that oath. I think Kaladin could be there. I am not so certain if Shallan or Adolin will.
Yeah, I know. Reading through that, I was just like, there's no way, right? I mean, that would be nice, but God, they're in the middle of a war, and it's book 5 of a series, and, there's been suspiciously few main character or even side character deaths.
Yeah.
Like, things are not, there's no way.
Mm-hmm. And then Shallan runs off to go talk about the impending army. And then that's the end of day 1. Anything else for this day?
I don't think so.
The passions are horse shit.
I agree with what he's saying. There's a little bit of religion in there I want to argue, but not at all the time now. When we get to that chapter in our reviews in 10 years, I can argue then. Okay, we got our first interlude set. So, of course, we're going to start off with the Herald. And then we learned that Felt is evil. And then we learned...
not evil.
A ghostblood, a traitor,
evil.
a spy.
He is working for Kelsier.
I don't know if he's working for Kelsier. He's part of Kelsier's organization, but he's working for...
No. He's working for Kelsier. He does not trust Eotil. He makes that very clear that he does not trust Eotil and what Eotil is doing. That he is part of the Ghostbloods and he is working for Kelsier. Also, are we surprised?
I was.
To be honest, are we surprised that he's working for Kelsier?
We knew he was from Scadrial.
Yeah.
I had a fleeting thought upon rereading Rhythm of War. Oh, Lord of Scars.
Felt enough
to say. Out from Scadrial? Oh, well, moving on.
Who was... Have we seen Felt in...
Yes.
Was he... When have we seen Felt? Sorry.
So within Stormlight or Mistborn?
Both. Just give me Mistborn.
Mistborn Book 1, Felt
He's
is
the
spy that Elend sends to go spy on Vin.
Gotcha. Okay, now I remember.
And then
I did not realize that was him.
And then in Stormlight, he is the one who leads Dalinar to the Night Watcher in his vision. And he also helps lead them through Shadesmar in the previous book, because he's been there before.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Then why does he use Awakening?
Because breaths are some of the easiest investiture to get access to that you can travel with.
Mm-hmm. In which Allah, I think I looked, by the way, the Seon being just immediately, I'm not at all abused. I'm completely a part of it. I did not even think about that. I did not think, the Seons have intelligence. They could have easily joined up with this. Shoot.
That was a good twist. I did like that.
There's a reason the Seon didn't want to come with them.
Yeah. Allah, by the way, I believe I looked that up. That is beauty and handsomeness. And then we just casually have an Odium POV.
Do you think beauty and handsomeness, I'm like, is that related to Kelsier?
I don't think so.
Of course it is, you filthy American.
Kelsier,
most
get out of here.
Gorgeous. I will go nowhere, thank you.
Oh boy.
Never gets old.
Nope. And we see Taravangian sort of coming up with a new way to justify Odium's actions of becoming a single shard, the only shard. Something on page 2025 furthers my idea that Shallan will become the new Odium. I don't know what that is at the time.
I love.
Then we also. Sorry, what?
Sorry, I was gonna say what Odium when he was like, I destroyed my predecessor. Just another great line.
And then you get the line of cultivation killing her father.
Which is Adenausium?
Yes, who is referred to as the father god.
Well, do we know that he's speaking about Adenausium, or did cultivation kill her dragon dad?
I think he was talking about all the shards killing Adenausium and then worrying that the same thing was going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, it could, or maybe Adenausium was literally her father, or maybe Adenausium is seen as the father of all the, whatever the species name that has the dragons, the whatever.
Shodell.
What's their
Shodell?
No, but there's like a subset of species that refers to
Fane life?
Fey life, yeah. That's what it is. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
It's the first time hearing that term, personally.
I am only aware of it through the 17th Shard stuff.
There's a long-running theory that Fey life is anything with 6 limbs, and that's why you have the Shodell, which have 2 legs, 4 arms, and dragons have 4 legs and wings.
Oh.
So there's a long-running theory that Fays need 6 limbs.
Weird.
Yeah,
also,
they
have
Sanderson had talked about that in like someone I think asked a question about it last year at Dragonsteel.
Yeah, they also all have the bone phone.
The what?
The bone phone that Hoyd was calling on.
Oh, yeah.
So all of them have a special bone that allows them to communicate on some Fey radio wave. And basically you can use that to call a specific person as long as it's part of that group. It's Shodell or Dragon.
Interesting.
Apparently it was and so there's the bone phone and then there's the cell phone. And those are the 2 things. Okay.
Which I like. I had to look. I didn't have to look that up, but I didn't know what that was talking about because, like, I haven't read Dragonsteel Prime. That hasn't even been in like a main book, right?
No, we get one brief scene of it in the upcoming day. Anything else for this interlude, though? Okay, final section of the night. Okay, part 2. We wake up with Yasna, and Yasna has...
No, we start with Dalinar, who is not asleep.
Dalinar, who's not asleep. Sorry, my notes don't have everybody who's not asleep. My notes have Way of Kings again on 131, and then 132 is okay. We did not need to know. In fact, they did have sex for asexual Yasna.
Yeah, Dalinar, who is not asleep.
Reading
and then we have Yasna, who is not asleep. Then we have Navani, who is not asleep. Then we have Fen, who was also not asleep. Then we have, lastly, we have Yanagon the First, Prime Akasix, Emperor Makabak, who was sleeping, but was definitely not sleeping.
So, can I just say something for like the audiobook listeners out there? At Nexus this year, they had a panel that was just Michael Kramer and Kate reading the audio, reading live. And this was the chapter that they did.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so it was crazy. They were switching characters left and right. You know, they were going back and forth. It was awesome.
Oh, boy. Okay, so this is the scene where we finally see Hoyt figure out that he was tricked. In which we see him have utter panic. He transforms back into his sort of true self. He uses allomancy to push everything metallic in the room. He pulls sand out from white sand. Like, he does like a full inventory on all of his magic powers.
Mm-hmm.
And he does not realize it's race, as that the vessel has changed at first, we will later. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to call up an expert on law and this, which turns out to be Frost, which actually then turns out to be Frost's sister. Which, that's cool.
Which, for those of you who do not know who Frost is a dragon, who is the one who Hoyd was writing letters, who is in Way of Kings, there's a letter from Frost to Hoyd. And then in Words of Radiance, there's a letter from Hoyd to Frost.
That grumpy old reptile.
I think that's the order. Am I correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of the only on-screen appearance that we've seen of Frost so far.
There was a short story, like 1 or 2 page. Oh, shoot, I don't even remember when it takes part. But there was one tiny little short story where Frost and Hoyd meet up, and Frost is in a human form, I believe. And that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Traveler. It's called
The
Traveler, I believe.
The Traveler. Yeah, it's on Brandon's website. You can read it if you want to.
It doesn't really give anything.
Yeah.
Then, okay, so then we get the first ever Cosmere shower. Could they make more Erytheroos, and would that require new siblings?
Yes, it would require a new sibling. Before we get to that, I do want to mention, I think the Queen Fen scene is hilarious.
It's totally hilarious.
Very hilarious.
The little deckhand or whatever.
Her poor brother.
Yeah,
her poor brother.
No, it's not her brother.
I thought it said brother.
No, it's a deckhand who shows up and is like, oh god, what am I supposed to do? And just like panics.
I'm gonna check. Because I could have sworn she said, oh brother.
I think she says, oh brother, as in like, oh brother. Like
Charlie Brown style.
Yeah.
What happens when you're half hilarious on the plane ride home reading this?
Yeah. Okay, so that was.
But yeah, and the way that the narrator, the way Kate Redding reads the deckhand is so funny. If you listen to the audiobook, it's making me crack up laughing.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Brother Kamakal said, I thought they knew not to look for us. I specifically reference. I mean, yeah, I guess it could be read that way.
Yeah.
Okay, I just did not. I don't know. Reading "Oh Brother" in Charlie Brown was not something I expected in Roach. So that's where. Yes, that scene was funny.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention that scene was hilarious. It has absolutely nothing to do with the grand scheme of the Cosmere. I just thought it was funny.
I feel like between like this, well, a lot that's happened in this book so far. Defiant, like a lot of Brandon's recent works, like his prudishness has kind of like faded away, and he's writing a little bit more R stuff for PG-13 at the very least.
I think Granny Boobs constitutes an R.
I mean, supposedly Shalon and Adolin have sex in the shower.
It does seem like it seems like almost deliberate though to keep referencing these things, and even he's talked about like people were upset at the very implication that Vin and Elend were getting it on. So this is deliberate to me, like, you know.
I feel like it's a mixture of Brandon now being comfortable writing that, and also it is a fairly simple way to show, oh, these characters like each other. So that way when you kill one, the emotion hurts.
I could see that.
This is where you have Gavilar say, you promised to play swords with me.
Gavinor,
sorry.
Not Gavilar.
My autocorrect. Gavinor, sorry. He's like, you promised to play swords with me, and Dalinar's like, no, a later time.
Which, poor Gavinor, but also I love that Lift is now friends with Gavinor and they have a secret handshake. And that Lift let Wendell do the secret handshake as well.
That was such a cute scene too. Okay, but
scene.
I think Gavinor, especially now seeing that we think he got sucked into the realm along with everybody else, I think this promise to play Swordsmate is a foreshadowing for Odium showing him saying, "Here's my champion," and it's adult Gavinor. And then you have them finally do a sword fight. I think this is foreshadowing for that.
Well, I'm glad you were able to get that out there.
I don't want it to be right, because that's gonna hurt. Oh, and cultivation shows up.
Is this?
Yeah, just side note, cultivation shows up.
Yeah, just side note. God is there. You get a brief little line when Shallan is getting out of the shower, and Patter's like, "I suppose my usual retort is useless in this regard." No mating. Too late. And then we see they've created a base Morse code. That's cool. Gaz feels bad for what he did to all of the people he enslaved. That's
Wait,
nice.
are we just gonna gloss over the fact that cultivation showed up? Like, are we just not gonna talk about that? Like,
that chapter ends with that, and then you have the Shallan scene, and then you have.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't just gonna
We'll come back
skip
to it.
over and not come back to that because you just were like, "Hey, cultivation shows up." Moving on.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Okay, because page 153. Gaz does feel bad. 155. Cultivation and the sibling meet. Please, I want to see that. Considering this is mom.
No, the less of the sibling we see, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I do. The sibling is a bitch.
Okay. How did Cultivation get a copy of Dalinar's book?
What do you mean? Of course she got a copy of Dalinar's
Well, I'm just wondering, did
Cultivation is God.
I know, but I'm imagining just like the Night Watcher just being like, "What do you have to offer me?" Ooh, that's a new book. And then like she gifts it to Cultivation, like, "Happy birthday." And, like it's she got like a physical copy given to her.
Yeah, I would say, but Cultivation's been watching Dalinar.
Yeah, I know.
For decades.
Let me enjoy the comedy in my head.
Yeah, but yeah. And then she's like, "Yeah, you should go and restore honor."
We learned that honor can still be picked up. It was not as splintered as we thought it was, and I think it's going to be Adolin. I'm pretty sure. I bet it's going to be Adolin that takes up honor, because Adolin was shown to be the more honorable one, because he was always doing what his father wanted, and he has stuck by the whatever the rules were called, the codes.
But Adolin struggles more with keeping oaths than Dalinar has been in recent years.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just
Does
feel
he
like
though?
I mean,
he's struggling with like his dad and the fact he killed his mom, but
he did in fact murder Sadius in a dark corridor.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Adolin is for sure not gonna
I don't know.
honor.
Dalinar kind of like genocided multiple peoples.
But that was farther in the past. That's my point.
It was also prior to the touch of Cultivation, who has been setting up this whole prize fight for decades.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Adolin might take honor.
I'm right there with you, Reader.
Then we learn that one can go into the spiritual realm, and that not only was Bide Mishram hidden in there, but also honor was put in there.
Well, not put in there. Honor is in there because that's where the gods reside.
Yes. somehow. In which, this is when I realized we're going to have a time travel story, in which we're going to see Dalinar having to face Evie again. And
I don't think we're going to see Dalinar having to face Evie again. We will get to learn more about the about the recreants, and about the heralds, but I would highly doubt that we will see Evie again.
We have the chance, though, for all of these characters that we later see get sucked into the perpendicularity to have a chance to like face their past. And like Shallan's gonna see what actually happened the night she killed her mom. Maybe, question mark, who knows? I don't know what's going on with Renarin or Verlaine. That could be very.
You know what's going on with Renarin and Verlaine.
Maybe they see the future together and they see how good they are together. Which would
I
be very
bet
sweet.
they do see the future together.
Yeah. Okay. I think Navani's gonna have like a chance to like see Gavilar, and maybe yell at like I don't know, would it even be time travel or is it just yelling at a shadow? So, I don't know.
Shadow. It's not time travel.
I know it's not actually time travel, but like
I don't want this to become Endgame where they're just going through the previous books.
That's what I think it is. That's what I think it's going to be.
They're not going to do that. I highly, highly doubt Sanderson is going to do that.
Okay, we'll see. Then we've got the scene with the bone phone. That's Hoyd literally having a white phone at his feet, reading out loud the contract and getting Frost's sister, just calling it in.
Did we get a name for Frost's sister?
I don't think so.
Just Frost's sister, in which we don't even know if it's blood sister, just adopted. She could very well not even be a human. She could very well not be dragon. She could be human. She could be, who knows?
She's probably dragon.
She's probably dragon. I'm just saying we have no confirmation. Anything.
Guys, this is chapter 18. Did anyone else briefly think that Shalb might have been a ferrochemist? This is the hypochondriac who is consistently overinflating their illness.
Yes, I did very briefly, but I didn't.
And then after it kind of seems like, oh, maybe not. But
I did very much think so, but I think I was quickly no.
I was so convinced, and then slowly, disappointingly, less and less convinced.
This is where we also learned that the new Odium has figured out a small little bit of Alethi law where taking a capital means taking a country. So if somebody were to take London, they would take Great Britain. If someone were to take DC, they would take America.
The new pettier Odium. Brought to you by Nightblood.
Which, like, to be honest, wouldn't it be easier to just change the codes?
Didn't they say, like, doing that wouldn't work? And also...
They said changing the capital wouldn't work.
Changing the capital would. But I also feel like... I don't know. I feel like that would fall under the same thing. There is a rule called, in American law, ex post facto, where something cannot be changed if it was being done before the law. So basically, if the law was no murder at all,
essentially something gets grandfathered in.
Yes, exactly. So Hoyd figures out that the vessel has changed. We've got Shallan trying to figure out where all of the ghost bloods are, which you think the sibling would have been able to help at some level of that. Then you finally got Seth, Son of Honor, in which this is where I think I realized that Son Villano applies to the grandfather, and what happened to the dad, which
Nothing. Yeah, I would say nothing happened to the dad. It's just that when he became truthless, he stopped going by his dad's name to not forsake his dad and to not attach him to his father's name anymore.
Okay.
That's it. Because he mentions that in one of the books. Can't remember which one.
But, his high friend speaks for him. I'm fully in the... I'm betting that's auxiliary. I think that's auxiliary.
I would be surprised if it was auxiliary.
Okay, I got one note on 178 that just says Bondsmith Radio. No idea what that's tied to. On 182, if they could figure out how Ishar substantiated the Spren, then they could have an army themselves. Which this ties into, what if the Honor Spren remake their navy and then they can take the fight in Shadespar?
Ishar substantiating Spren was bad.
Yeah.
Major bad.
He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, right.
You're a good guy.
I have a theory that maybe it wasn't so bad. Like, this is my weird theory that I'm less and less convinced about, but like, what if somebody does ascend honor and kind of how the mists get sucked up when Vin ascends to preservation? What if like all the Spren that I get sucked up, and that's what Shar is like trying to prevent that by bringing them into the physical realm.
I disagree with that.
I see
heavily.
where you're coming from with that, but and
no.
It could happen with some of the Spren, but the problem is not all of the Spren are just of honor. Like, we have Void Spren, we have Cultivation Spren, so
I think it could
only be the honors. Like,
I think if the new Shard wanted to, he could suck in all of, like, the lesser Spren that don't have intelligence. But that's about it. If they wanted to, whoever was taking up the Shard.
Also, these Spren are independent forms of investiture that have created sentience on their own without necessarily the help of a Shard.
Some are.
Yes. I would say yes.
Okay. And, okay. Here's my two theories for how to win the war. They abandon defense and just go on offense and go for their capitals, or destroy the Oathgate. Is it possible?
I think it would be very difficult to destroy the Oathgate, and I think you would have to kill the Spren.
Could you bond an Oathgate Spren?
No, because they're not normal ink Spren. They've been altered.
I'm gonna guess no, because because the Oathgate itself is the manifestation of those Spren in the physical realm.
I don't know. I mean, so is your theory, but you can still bond the sibling, right? And if you'd have told me you could bond the Stormfather before that happened, I'd have told you were crazy.
I don't know. Those are just my two theories on how they could win, other than just defense. So the unseen court sneaking into this place. I'm just imagining them in like full SWAT gear, going breach, 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 kicking down the door, smashing through the window. Just that one.
That's not how they work, though.
Falling through the ceiling.
What do you need your stupid rope for?
It looks cool.
I do like them like sneaking around and having to figure out how to get in without using their powers. That they have to rely on more mundane methods of sneaking.
And the realization, like, oh, they wear masks. Duh.
Yeah. It's like I could just steal one of those masks.
Oh boy.
And like the little retcon of like, oh, that's not, the skin's not actually growing around the mask. That would be disgusting.
Well, I
It's
think it
just
has to do with
imprinted.
age, or maybe the type of. Because we see, what's his name? Murashi's boyfriend. His isn't stuck to his face.
Alik.
A leak. His isn't stuck to his face. I think it has to do with maybe age or type of.
It has to do with the culture,
Which we know
which
nothing
culture they're from. But we do know that it's not necessarily that it's like the skin is growing around, but they do state that she has indents in her skin.
Yeah.
Around her face where the mask sits.
Which really, that doesn't take as long as you'd think. Know that if you use a respirator as part of your work, you walk away and you've got that triangle on your face, like after just like an hour even.
Go on YouTube and look up just like compilation of head indents from wearing headphones all day.
Yeah. We learned that Earthru has an agriculture route that the sibling made just in case the Night Watcher ever decided to come visit, which I thought was very cute. And then I also realized the sibling could create a holodeck. This is Star Trek. This is literally turning into Star Trek. He can just create a holodeck.
It's probably also why the sibling has a flat roof, is so that the Stormfather can...
Aww. I didn't know. I want to see all three of them show up together, just like sibling bond for a bit.
Nah, I'll pass on that.
Then we got confirmation there are primordial aspects spread, which are night and stone.
And wind.
Well, we knew wind, but this we get right here, night and stone.
The only time we see like one of these, like when the wind starts talking to Kaladin, it was kind of like out of the blue. But then in Rhythm of War, when Venli enters the stone for the first time, the stones come alive and they start talking to her. Say, oh, it's been so long since the Dawn Singers used to tread the stones. Is that kind of the same thing we're thinking?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. Also, there has, I think, because Sanderson has been kind of like wishy-washy about Tien with his stones that he found.
Oh, yeah.
So that could also be connected to it with the stones, like, speaking to him.
Didn't he say something to that, like, in the QA of just like, there's a little bit to that more?
Yeah, and he was like, Raffo.
Raffo!
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So then we got a brief scene where when they're all in that sort of botanical garden, where Hoyt and Yasna, we see their love languages are just completely not at all compatible. Then you get
trying. He's trying.
But he's not at all listening to what she wants.
No, he is.
He's trying in a very Hoyt way.
Yes, he is listening at some points, and he is growing. Like, for example, when he asked her if she wanted him to get her a chair or not. Like, that was him listening to her and like knowing that she wants to do things for herself sometimes.
Are we on chapter 21?
We are on chapter.
Sorry.
Yes, we're on chapter 20. I've got it by page number on the page. Yeah.
I have a few notes for this chapter.
Okay. You've got a brief scene where Hoyt is like, to my eternal shame, I was not here. And I just now realized Hoyt, and by the way, we have confirmation, he's 10,000 years old. A little bit on that. Love that we have an actual number now. But, like, he has 16 friends. Even, like, Race, who he, like, hates. Only 16 people, really, that he can say, I know you guys. We exist for 10,000 years. I mean, there's Frost and probably others, but This is one of his friends, and he was not there when they died.
Yep, and 5 of them are now dead.
5 of them are now dead. Yeah.
Oh no, 6. 6 of them are now dead.
Honor, devotion, dominion, preservation, ruin,
Ambition.
ambition.
Virtuosity.
That hasn't happened yet.
We don't know what's going on with that or when that happens.
We don't think that's happened yet.
Yeah.
But that reminds me. Just in like chapter 4, like Whit was talking about like the nature of art, and he's mentioning how like art is virtuous, like of itself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting. Like if it was a little nod to...
You also have a line where Hoyt's like, I have yet to know a person who took up one of those shards and didn't regret it. And I'm like, Finn didn't. Kelsier didn't. Correct your statement.
I love how he references Vin in this chapter.
I don't think he references Vin. I think he references Kelsier.
Well, he sits like Kelsier when he sits backwards in the chair, but then he's talking about they can ride around in your earring.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
He was talking about Ivory there.
Yeah, he was referencing Ivory in her earring. In Yasna's earring, because Ivory is riding around in this chapter.
Oh, there was a line where he's like, I saw somebody give up the power and it was the most noble thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
That has to apply to Kelsier, right?
Which is Kelsier. Yes, he's Kelsier there. As far as we are aware, because Kelsier is the only one that we know of who gave up the power after ascending.
Are you guys
talking about himself? Or he's talking about himself?
Vin. He's talking about Vin, who gives up the power instead of saving Elend.
Oh, no, that's true.
But I think he's talking about when Kelsier actually held the entire power of preservation.
I do think it's more so Kelsier.
No, you guys are crazy. It's clearly Vin. Because that ended up being the wrong choice, is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What happens? What would happen?
I think there is room for interpretation there.
So, with all this talk about Dalinar ascending to honor, what happens to the spren or the bond when a person ascends, if they are bonded to a spren?
That is an excellent question.
That spren becomes like the Pope.
And the Stormfather isn't already?
You get a point there.
So, my guess, and this is just based on gut feeling, there's not really any like literature to back it as far as I know. The Nile bond works by fusing the essence of the spren into the cracks of the spirit web of the person's traumatic or traumatized soul, right? So there's a connection at that spiritual level. So when the person takes on all of that extra spiritual oomph, the spren is either going to, explode into 1,000 tiny motes of power, or ascend itself and become an uber spren. Kind of like if a wind spren were to like Pokemon evolve into the Stormfather.
I'm wondering if
or they would just be reabsorbed into whatever power it would be. But that assumes that spren and that shard share the same they're keyed to the same intent. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's just something I'm wondering. We're around to page 200 and we have not had a single flashback yet.
That won't last long.
No. Dalinar and the Stormfather had an argument, and Dalinar does the voice again.
The I'm disappointed in your voice?
No, yes, but also the in all caps in the special font that the Stormfather uses when it's angry. That voice. Uh, you get a brief reference to the Silverlight Mercantile, which I absolutely adored.
Yeah.
That was an actual place you could go to in Nexus. So to know it exists in the
I was
series.
Gonna say, really after standing in line to get to that place, it was cool to hear about it in the book.
Oh my gosh. They need multiple next year. Jump back over to Shallan, in which she uses her armor as a sort of net/cell to capture somebody. Imagine how terrifying that must be.
That was cool. I really liked her shard blades, like the illustration of that.
Oh yeah,
they're really cool.
And the fact that it makes like a pouch for her drawing book, and just that's so cute.
Yeah, and it seems like the first time she gets the armor, it's just kind of like it's a little bit more generic, and then when she like puts it on this guy, she's like forming it on purpose now, and she's picturing it. It seems to me like it changed a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And
it's learning. It's learning how to be armored.
That's so cool.
I think my favorite thing with Shallan's armor is when Shallan is being radiant, and it's like, other Shallan! Other Shallan!
Other Shallan! I don't know, I find it a little weird that Kaladin just had the armor and like immediately worked, but then when Shallan does it like tears at her coat and everything.
You've also got to think about the fact of the purpose behind their different radiant orders. So Kaladin, he's part of the Wind Runners. They are meant to protect. Mm-hmm. So their armor, they're going to be able to like send it out to go and protect people really easily. And like have it do all the things that he was able to do with it. It makes sense with their order that he's able to do that. The Lightweavers, that's not how they work.
Well, I'm not saying no to that. I'm wondering why when Shallan wears the armor, it immediately like stretches like her coat and like tears her drawing satchel.
So I think there's another angle to this that bears some exploration, as we see a little later on with Navani. Kaladin has always embraced the Windspren and kind of felt really close in a kinship to them when he's been up in the air and doing his Windrunner stuff. Whereas Shallan, when she's doing her drawing and her sketching, she's always shooing the creation spren away, like they're annoying or something, So like she hasn't built that relationship with them, and so they aren't as strongly connected. Even though, they can form the armor, they can do the thing. They don't have that level of connection that Kaladin did with the Windspren. And
I like that. I found it a little bit weird that the artistic one couldn't like immediately or subliminally tell it how to work around that outfit.
Well, the other thing too is we know that creation spren are dumb, right? They only copy what they see. So if they haven't seen it and experienced it, they don't know how to copy it. Which begs the question, I'm sure I just missed this one. It's got to be out there. What are the companion spren for Elsecallers? Are they Logic Spren? Okay, yeah.
Logic Spren. Yes, I'm getting a Logic Spren armor. So they tease the idea of an awakened shard without a vessel. That's terrifying.
Well, yeah, if you leave enough investiture by itself, it will eventually create its own personality. It will eventually gain sentience.
Which
I wonder, is that how it's supposed to be, though? I mean, you have like a dude controlling the power of a god and interpreting the will of it. I feel like, maybe it's just supposed to kind of be.
I feel like it's just an accidental bit of the investiture just doing that. I don't think a shard was ever, well, shards weren't supposed to exist, but a shard was ever supposed to gain its own life. I don't think that was ever something that was meant to happen. And like, I'm surprised, like, after all this time, honor, devotion, dominion have not the intents themselves gain sentience, considering how many thousands of years it's been. They have been untouched.
We don't know how long it would take for the investiture to gain sentience on its own.
True.
Also, you could argue that for devotion and dominion, that little parts of it have been gaining sentience over the years with the aeons.
I guess.
With the Seons, I mean, and the Skays.
Right.
Yeah. We have a brief little scene with Rushu talking with the sibling, just absolutely questioning them, and I find it absolutely adorable.
We love our non-binary friends.
Yes. He's like, so you're neither male or female? It's like, yes. Oh, tell me more. It is so wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
I also really want a Flame Sprint plushie now.
That would be very cute. So then we have our first flashback, in which the image is now the colors are inverted, so white is black and black is white.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yup. And now it's just Seth's son Naturo, no longer Son Balato.
Yes, because he is not truthless yet.
Yep. And they mentioned the monastery of the Stonewards. So I'm guessing there's a monastery for each of the oaths, the Radiance orders.
We learned that when they get into Shadesmart. Not into Shadesmart, into Shinovar. Yes, Seth mentions that.
There was never one for the Windbreaker, or the Skybreakers, because they've always had, Nile has always had his blade. And there was one other one that was...
No, but they still had a monastery for that herald, but whether or not there was a blade in the monastery. They had 10 monasteries for all the heralds. First one Seth says that he goes to is the stone, is the one for Taln, which there was never a blade for Taln's, because Taln had his blade in and Braze.
There's a map of the monasteries in the book.
Oh, there is? Is it at the beginning?
Oh, that's handy.
I don't know. I was looking through the PDF.
I'm guessing it hasn't shown up then, because I would have noticed that. I think. Hey.
Yeah, it's at the end of day 3, so we're probably not supposed to have seen it, but it's just a map.
But it's a map that reveals things. That is what a map does.
It's on page 404, if you wanted to look at it.
We are not there yet. We're stopping at 314. But going back to 235, we once again see our little jar of Aether, and Siana is just chilling in the room.
Yep. Probably spying. Honestly, that's probably what she's doing. Spying on the Ghostbloods. That is entirely what she's doing there.
I don't think she's spying. I think she's just got a welcome door policy, considering it seems that she's given all of them corrupted spread.
But they don't know that she's there watching.
That's true. They do have that bit of panic.
Like, they don't know that she's there watching. I think she's there spying on what they're gonna do with her spread, like what they're planning on doing.
She's their, like, gun dealer, but they plan to use them on her.
I wonder if, like, what's her relationship to Baedo Mishram, you know?
Well, Baedo Mishram is her sister, technically, because they are both unmade. But yeah, it's like...
I think what it's going to be sort of like is Biodomishram is going to be the primordial thing, and Shianat is going to be the god spread. I think that's what it's going to end up being. Maybe.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
So we know that there are primordial aspects of wind, stone, night, and then there are the god spread, Stormfather, Nightwatcher, sibling, which tie into those. I think Biodomishram was able to connect herself so strongly to Roshar, she became a primordial aspect, or whatever it is. And Shianat, who has been going around doing all this stuff, is sort of the god spread of that.
That's cool.
No,
That's just
I
fully my
disagree.
theory. Feel free to disagree. That's just how I'm envisioning it currently.
I disagree for one main reason. Well, maybe two. Let me think about it. Let me consider this. But so the fact of it is that we know that the Unmade have been around for a very long time. We know that Ba'edo did something to connect herself to the land and to the singers after the fused had been locked away by Taln after the final desolation, after Ahariatia. The Unmade have been around for a lot longer than that. So it wouldn't make sense if Sja-anat was the spren of connected to Ba'edo because that would mean that Sja-anat would have to have been created after Ba'edo bonded to the, connected with the land and the singers in that sense. And we know for a fact that Sja-anat and the rest of the Unmade were around long before that happened.
Well, I don't think it needs to be a literal one-to-one. That's how I'm comparing it. We learned Stormlight has identity, capital I, and they're making anti-investiture arrowheads.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
They were selling those at Nexus.
That
was a joke.
Yeah. I fully believe Moraes is going off script. I don't think the anti-investiture stuff, the arrowheads, and them getting Ba'edo has anything to do with Kelsier wants. Or maybe he's told him get Ba'edo, but I think Moraes is going to do something different.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Eatil definitely has a separate goal with Ba'edo versus what Kelsier wants to happen. That is very clear when they're talking to her.
Could it be that we know that the Southern Scadrians look to Kelsier as some sort of god figure? Could it be that one of them has realized, hey, wait a second, you care more for the Northern Scadrians and not us?
I don't know. I've been so, I've had a hard time coming up with any theories on this. I'm really excited to see where it goes, but I'm impressed you guys could even come up with something.
Well, this brings up my question. So we know that once this book ends, in between this book and Stormlight 6 is
10 years.
Yes, but it's Stormlight Era 2, right?
Alloy of Law.
Yes.
Why
can't Tori just get some guns and bring them over and hey, here's a quick way to take care of a lot of our problems?
Well, for one thing, Hoyt can't use any weapons, and his body might lock up if he tries to grab a gun.
But he can bring them. We saw that he can take weapons to people in Elantris.
So would he be making anti-investiture bullets?
Not necessarily. he comments in Elantris that these crates are heavy. And Serene says, "Don't worry about it, Hoyd."
Oh, you think Hoyd did not know exactly what was in that crate?
I think Hoyd probably did. I think, however, that he is a crafty individual and learned how to keep the Dawn Shard that he was carrying, or maybe he didn't have it yet, from being able to interpret that by clever wordplay, kind of how we see
You talk about Nomad/Sigil, right?
Yeah, I was trying to come up with the other name, the name that they give him, because I didn't want to say Sigil, but yes.
Zellion.
That's what I was looking for.
Well, okay, now we've got all three.
But Zellion is still able to, like, pick up a weapon and hand it to somebody.
But there is a comment made by Ox, where Ox says, like, makes a comment of, like, would you be even able to hold a gun? Like, with your torment?
Well, I imagine he can, like, at least, like, tell somebody, hey, bring that box of guns. Follow me through this giant glowing portal pool. We're going to take a quick trip.
But...
So,
it's just, at this point, with the interconnectivity, why couldn't Hoyd just, like, I'm going to call somebody on my bone phone, ask them to bring some guns over from Scadrial.
Well, because Alloy of Law takes place after this.
But they still have guns.
Yeah, I feel like they're pretty fledgling, though. Like,
it's still better than whatever the crossbow.
So is he gonna, like, take a perpendicularity over there and then take another one back?
I'm just wondering, why couldn't he bring guns?
Also, I think he's trying to avoid Sazed.
Well, maybe, and maybe there is like no, that's more Pendragon. In the Pendragon series, there's a rule you are not allowed to connect the territories, the different worlds. That does not exist here. So why?
So you think he's gonna go get a 357 and he's gonna go right up to Odium and he's gonna say, "Dodge this,"
and then Odium does like a leap back and like spins around. It's slow mo and really cool. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've seen Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Also, secondary question: if Dalinar were to ascend then lose, then does that not mean that Odium would now have control of honor?
Correct.
That's not good.
Actually, that's probably the best thing that could possibly happen. Odium expressly did not want to take on another shard because it would taint his intent. He didn't want to be conflicted, and he didn't want to be sidetracked, if you will.
So, it wouldn't necessarily be that honor and Odium get combined into one. It would more so be that Dalinar as honor would have to follow what Odium tells him to do.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Sianat says she's on the side of preservation. Also, hashtag spread rights. And Yaddle makes a comment that getting bioautomation will give them control over the shards.
Yeah, which, like, what does that mean?
I don't know. And how does Testament morph on 255?
Yeah, I had that question too. Because all the other Deadeyes are locked into their shape.
But all of the other Deadeyes radiants are dead.
And there was also that line with the Herald that, like, the cut is not always perfectly clean. That wasn't with the Herald. That was with somebody else, was it?
No, it was. It was with him.
It was?
It was with Kalek.
So maybe it's the fact, like, it's still with her original host. It's still with the bond wasn't perfectly broken. I found it weird.
The fact that she was a child when she broke the bond bond didn't break exactly all the way. So.
Okay. There's something on page 258 that I just wrote. What the fudge is that? Oh, when Murray's Yaddle and Laiki vanished, the air warped around them in a tinged black violet, and they were gone. I'm guessing that's just corrupted else calling.
I mean, it's just else calling. I don't know if it's necessarily corrupted.
Well, all their Spren are corrupted Spren, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the powers that they use are corrupted.
Oh, I'm not saying corrupted in terms of their powers. I'm saying it's the not normal way.
I'm saying it could easily be the normal way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because we know like some of Renarin's powers work the same, like his healing works the same.
True.
But it's just because they're using Ja, not Spren. It's like the different color.
Yeah, possibly.
I had something strange on this chapter. It's like the smallest detail. In Zeth's flashback, he's talking about having like this little red sash called
his splash.
What was that called? A splash?
A splash.
And then like it seems like maybe Murray's has like a little bit of a red like splash of his own.
Ooh.
I thought I saw that. I was just wondering, like, is Murray's from Shinova? Like,
no, Murray's is Thalen.
A Thalenite.
Yes.
Thalenian.
Okay.
I think is what, at least I think that's what Shalad says. He is Thalen.
I think I remember if he was noted as being Shin. I do not.
No, he's Thalen, but he cuts his eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and our big clue is that he calls Yaddle his Babsk.
Oh.
We learned that they foolishly left Lift to babysit the young prince.
Yep.
Which, although cute, not a good idea. Lift thirsts after Dalinar, and the poor sibling is just being treated like an Alexa. Which I know John is just like,
don't you mean
suck it.
Sigzil?
No, Lift thirsts after Dalinar.
David?
268. Double check me. Pretty sure she's talking about, because Dalinar comes in, Gavinor is like, hey, sword fight, maybe? And Dalinar's like, no, still not anymore. My theory still holds.
Of all the things I've ever had to try to fact check.
Okay, when they do that, Renard and Verlaine have a bit of a moment. They have a bit of art together. Drahe invents Roshar Gadar. That's weird to say. Tala is Jiminy Cricket, in which, in one of the visions, they're talking about how it's, I think they mentioned that it's Renarin's room, but there is a singer or... shoot.
Also, Lift is definitely talking about Sigzil.
There's two people that she's like ogling, and Sigzil is the only one that I can remember because I was at work at the time.
Isn't the other one David because she talks about how his husband's hot too?
Okay, give me a second. I'm double checking this as well.
It's Drahe. Drahe's the other one.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. David is from ReaderWarrior.
Yeah, David is the one who doesn't talk.
It's getting late. I hope you guys know what I meant by that.
Okay, yeah, you're talking about Drahe. Sorry. Yep, it's Drahe. I got confused. Yeah, he's the complete opposite of Sigzil. Why do you stare at that one? If you need to ask, then you have no taste whatsoever.
So we have like 8 minutes. I was wondering if you guys just wanted to talk about Renarin's visions.
Honestly, there's too much there for me to even compute.
Honestly, I think we should talk about the most important thing, which is the perpendicularity that collapses.
Yeah, so okay, well, I'm on my last section of notes.
What did you want to talk about, John?
Okay, let's talk about the perpendicularity, why Kay's still allowed to be here, and then we three can continue.
I don't know. I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin here soon too.
Okay, I did not think it was possible for a perpendicularity, especially this weird of a perpendicularity, to forcibly collapse.
So two things. One,
I do not remember stuff.
We definitely talked about it.
I don't remember stuff.
It was mentioned very, very briefly during our talk at Dragonsteel when we talked about perpendicularities. Someone asked if Nightblood would be able to close a perpendicularity, and the answer is yes.
That I remember.
Secondarily, we have also already seen on screen a perpendicularity be closed by people using up the investiture, which was in the Lost Metal. So yes, perpendicularities can be closed.
I think there's a difference in my mind, though, between closed and collapse with an anti-investiture. Like, one is like gradual closing. I think Nightblood falls a little bit more on the other side, but forcibly collapsing a singularity is not something I thought could be possible, or not something I ever thought about.
Well, if Dalinar were to bondsmith open a perpendicularity and then get, I don't know, hit in the head with a rock until he passed out, the perpendicularity would collapse as well.
Would it?
Yeah, it would, because he needs to be focused. It would snap shut.
He needs to be actively engaged in holding it open.
I'm wondering, would it immediately snap shut, or would it like gradually close?
No,
I think it would immediately snap shut.
There's no source of investiture to hold it open.
True. Okay. I remember the Nightblood thing. I don't think we ever worded it as collapse, so it never connected in my brain.
Fair.
So collapses, and then Shallan and
Shallan, Dalinar, Navani, Gavinor. Sorry, they're too similar.
Renarin, R'lain, Mraize, and Eyatel all get sucked into portal, and Lift almost gets sucked in as well. Also, I think it's gonna be hilarious to see Lift and Hoid trying to hold the kingdom together while Dalinar and Navani are gone.
Oh my gosh, Hoid's gonna give them disguises as Dalinar and Navani. It's gonna be the funniest thing of seeing one person who's just unhinged chaos and the other person who just like cannot tell the truth for the life of them.
I just listening to the audiobook, all of a sudden I heard the Seinfeld music, like or maybe Always Sunny in Philadelphia would be a better.
Also, is Shar showing up?
I was just about to bring that up. So we learned that Odium was stifling primordial entities, and then suddenly just the wind tells them they need to preserve a piece of honor, and then a herald shows up, and I thought I missed a chapter because it goes from Kaladin just playing the flute, and then Ishar's there.
Yeah. You said Ishar shows up, and it's like, why are you important? I didn't think you were important. Why are you important now?
And then he's like, hey, we all have issues. Maybe you would like to talk about them.
Honestly, the fact that Kaladin just keeps going up to everyone, it is like, hey, you have issues. Do you want to talk about it? My name's Kaladin. I'm developing therapy.
I love it, though, because it's such... Even a person who's, like, gone through their own issues or trying to has no idea how to, like, empathize or connect with another person, because each person's experiences are unique. And there's no, like, one way to get somebody to open up.
Yeah, but it's just kind of funny that that's essentially, like, his intro line is like, hello, to talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
His feeble attempts, he has no tact whatsoever. It's awesome.
None at all.
Nope. And then Ishar does the voice as well. All caps, special font. And then leaves. And that's the end. I feel like there was something else I wanted to bring up. Oh, on the Naran and Relay thing, when they were checking out the future, I'm pretty sure we were looking at their wedding day in one of the photos, one of the glass things. Because they comment like one of them looks like Renarin's room, but it's got like a singer wedding garb in it.
That's their love child.
Pretty sure it's their wedding day. Okay. Any
12.
other?
I mean, let's just go through them. Let's just go through them as I wrote them down. Renarin's visions. Him in his room with singer armor. The Everstorm for some reason. Dalinor before glowing figure while a city below burns. 12 figures, possibly in Shinovar. It feels peaceful. One of them's a horn eater, one of them's Makabaki, and one of them's got white hair and blue skin. Baido Mistram shows up, and she's just mad.
I feel like the 12 figures, aren't those just the 12 species of Roshar? Or they're...
We don't know. That's kind of, I think,
How many
implied,
species are
but why are they all in Shinovar?
It might be more metaphorical. Maybe they need to combine all of Roshar's inhabitants in some way in the cognitive realm. They need to all come together to save Roshar. Because that's where all the armies are
that
coming
sounds
from.
like the power that we need. The power.
The
of
power
friendship.
of friendship. It is an anime.
Which is very Sailor Moon. Sanders.
It's very
I was just thinking, like, are we gonna get Sailor Moon like shard plate transformations? Especially gets animated.
God.
We just saved so much money in animation.
So much money. I even thought, like, when they were saying, like, no sprint, 2 sprint are like, I'm like, gosh, the poor person who has to, like, design every single sprint, knowing they can't just copy paste over and over again.
It'll be like the dust motes from Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Studio Ghibli has this thing where they will like come up with a character or like a little side character, a little cute little creature, and then they'll just make 13 million of them on screen at one time.
Like the forest spirits from Princess Mononoke?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other theories before we head into the next 2 days?
Honestly, I'm just reading for plot right now.
I think I've
just
given
so
all my theories. I'm so
just
excited.
To keep reading. Sorry.
I think it's going to be Endgame-esque. I think they're going to look back into their own past. I think they're going to see like a greater past, but I do think they're going to like get a chance to confront their own personal ones.
I hope it's not Endgame.
I don't know. I feel like it doesn't have to be associated with Endgame. That trope's been done before.
But like, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
Especially in fantasy, I always want to go to new places.
Yeah. Same.
I mean, they could always go to the future. That's what's really interesting, is they could see things in the future as well. Prophecy.
I think that Shallan might be the author of Wind and Truth.
Also, we didn't mention this, but Shallan being able to see into the spiritual realm and draw on fortune with her drawings. Just wanted to mention that real quick, because I just realized we forgot to talk about that she's able to do that.
Well, it's because she doesn't even realize that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Capital F. Okay.
Capital F fortune.
Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna stop there, because that's as far as we read. That's as far as you've read, dear watcher, dear listener. Or at the very least, you can enjoy our random predictions, our random reactions to things that maybe we missed that are super important down the road, things that we only touched on, which maybe were maybe in the right direction, maybe in the wrong direction. Who knows? Maybe you do. We definitely don't. But there is no spoiler realm. This is the end of this episode. This is not the end of the Stormlight Archive. This is not the end of the book. This is not even the end of anything, really.
Well, no.
It's the end of part. It's the end of day
It's the end of the first fifth.
I'm at the end of my rope. I don't know about you guys.
Hey!
Hey!
Okay. But we are going to stop here. We are going to come back next week covering the interlude day 3, the interlude day 4. And we're going to stop there. That's it. That's all we're going to read. I hate you so much, Kay and Swiggity, for making me do this. If you want to find out more about us, there's a link in the description of where you can find us. Check out our link tree, check out our channel, check us out on, we have Facebook groups, we have Twitter. I think we're going to be moving over to Blue Sky as well, starting in 2025. We have so many things where after this, we're going to be moving on to the Emperor's Soul. It's going to be so much fun. We have a lot of fun things planned for 2025, and we cannot wait to record all of it. But until then, just remember, there's always another connection. Bye.
See you in a week.
Bye.
I had this moment while we were recording where I realized that tomorrow I get to listen to more of this book, and the excitement that I felt was visceral.
I'm probably going to wait until Monday because we're flying out to Ohio because we're going to say goodbye to my grandpa because we don't think he's going to make much longer. We're just going to go see my grandma's gravestone who died like a month ago, and I did not get to go to the funeral, so I'm going to get to see that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Also, this is a complete side note based on what Reader just said, which I'm very sorry. It's no fun. But as I was opening my book, because I was trying to stretch out the spine to not let it be upset at me and break apart, I did see the one guy's name, the Stoneward guy's name, so he is going to show up again.
Oh, of course he is.
You gotta
Just
somebody
was
post his
funny.
name.
It's...
Somebody post his name and I'll keep an eye out for it.
Demi?
Demi?
Delmy, I think, is what it is.
Okay.
I can't even look him up on Coppermind right now.
I
I'm so
know.
scared of everything. I'll be on TikTok. It's just like my thoughts on Wind and Truth, and I'm like, oh, I would love to. Wait a second.
I know I've snoozed every Facebook group. I'm trying to unfollow it on YouTube.
Uh-huh.